Hello, everyone, and welcome to BodyBags. I'll be your reviewer today. I'm Lonnie from Keri and Tats, and as you can tell, this week, you've been keeping up with the videos. Each of us has been reviewing a movie from this year, 2023, and the one I decided to go with is pretty notorious. I think definitely. You're either This is definitely a divisive movie. You're either gonna love it or hate it. The one I'm talking about today is Cocaine Bear. And this movie is directed by Elizabeth Banks. And, it's like, first thing I will say, though, honestly, right off the bat, if you really have any hope of enjoying this movie, really do not listen to Elizabeth Banks' interviews or anything. Don't watch interviews with her on this or anything, to be truthfully honest with you, because like I just upgraded from the Blu-ray to the 4K. There's interviews with her, there's commentary with her and everything. And honestly, I have not watched it, and I don't plan to watch it because the problem is leading up to the release of this movie, everything that I had heard, every time she gave a review or anything like that, she would always she would always start bringing up her Charlie's Angels movie that she did a couple of years ago, the one she did with Kristen Stewart that flopped, and everything. And she was just all about, you know, just really heavy duty hardcore feminism and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, every time she did an interview for this movie, she would always have to keep bringing it up. And, and she would basically, she started talking about how she was upset by the idea that she ended up with making this movie. She ended up having to make a movie that was for entertainment purposes. She had to make a movie that was telling a story. She was mad that she had to make a movie that entertains an audience. And essentially, in so many words, she's mad because she couldn't just make a movie that's just 2 hours of her shoving her politics down everybody's throats. And she was mad about that. With this movie here, she had to try to make a movie that was more for entertainment value. And she didn't like that. So if you really do have any hope of enjoying this movie, I would say, yeah, pretty much if you can, um, stay away from interviews with her. Don't, just kind of avoid that. Just watch the movie and then kind of make your own decision whether the movie entertains you or not. And honestly, it's like if you can keep away from that, to be truthfully honest with you, the movie is actually pretty good, for the most part. You could definitely tell. Okay, I'm going to give away a little bit of a spoiler here. So if you haven't seen the movie, you might want to stop watching the video, go watch the movie, then come back. But if there is a character in the movie there is a character, a female cop named Reba, and the cop, if I remember, I think his name was Bob. And this cop Bob, he just got a dog, and he asks Reba to take care of the dog for him and stuff. And at first, you think that she's this good character, but then halfway through the movie, you find out that basically she's a bad character. She's a two-faced backstabber, and you think at the beginning of the movie you think she's one of the good characters, but then you realize no, she's actually one of the bad characters. And then at the end of the movie, like she gets no comeuppance, and you could definitely tell. It's like, okay, yeah, this is definitely 2023 feminism where, you have a female character that just displays awful behavior, is not a particularly likable character, and at the end of the movie, she just she gets away with it. She gets away with her horrible behavior and just is a terrible person. Just gets away with it. So yeah, you can kind of tell there's a little bit of that in there. Other than that, though, the story, I think everybody pretty much already knows the story. I mean, the title is pretty self-evident, and there it kind of gives you an idea of what you're in for. The story is loosely inspired by a true event, a true story about a drug dealer that you know dropped out of a plane and his parachute didn't open, and he had all this cocaine on him and he fell to the ground and died. Then the story about the bear that came along and basically ingested all of this cocaine, and the bear did not go. That's the big difference between the movie and the real life story. In the real life story, the bear did not go on a kill crazy rampage, a drug fueled rampage, killing people, eating people. did not do that. Just the bear basically just pretty much essentially just died of an overdose. But they decided to it would be a lot more entertaining to turn this into a horror comedy and have the idea that the bear keeps getting high and just keep going after the cocaine to keep getting high. And but one thing is that's definitely about this movie is very much more of a ensemble character piece. And I think that's going to be one thing that's going to kind of distract a lot of people and irritate a lot of people about this movie is I think you're going to be going into this movie just hoping that you're going to see this kind of wild, insane, crazy bear going around just killing people left and right and center. And there is a little bit of that, but there is a lot of character stuff going on. We're introduced to now after the drug dealer falls out of the plane and dies, the bear gets a hold of the cocaine. We're introduced to a number of different characters. Funny enough, we're introduced to these two hikers named Elsa and Olaf. Yeah, I think if you watch your Disney movies, you'll know what that reference is from. But we're also introduced to this character named Sari, played by Keri Russell, who has a young daughter named Dee Dee. And it turns out that Sari is dating this guy, and apparently this guy is in a band. He wants her and Dee Dee to go and listen to him and his band play. And Dee Dee is upset because she wanted to go. They're living, in this beautiful forest area and all this stuff. So Dee Dee wanted to go paint the mountains, but Sari is all like, look, if you do this for me, we'll go paint the mountains another time. And so what Dee Dee decides to do is she decides to skip school, and she gets her friend Henry to go along with her. And so they skip school, and then they find the cocaine, and then they find the bear, and then they're trying to get away from the bear. But then Sari, she realizes her daughter skipped school, so she goes to this park ranger Liz, played by Margo Martindale, who's easily one of the best characters in the movie. And her and this guy Peter, who's like this nature, environmentalist type and everything. So they go and try to look for the kids, and let's just say things don't go so well. At the same time, too, we're introduced to Sid, played by the late great Ray Liotta, who was like a master actor, especially in Goodfellas and stuff like that. Sid is, he's watching his grandson, and he enlists this guy David, played by O'Shea Jackson Jr., who is Ice Cube's son. And he's like, I want you to go get my son Eddie, who just lost his wife Joan, and is like grieving and stuff. And he's like, I want you to go get Eddie, and you guys need to go find my cocaine and get it back for me, because these guys, they're coming after me because they don't have their cocaine and stuff. So David goes and gets Eddie, and then there's kind of this whole thing going on too with these characters because because Eddie just lost his wife and everything else. And so then I'm sorry, there's so many characters in this movie. It's kind of hard, but so anyway, so they go and they're trying to find the cocaine and everything, and then eventually Sid decides, basically it hits that point in the movie where like, hey, if you want to do anything right, you got to do it yourself. And so he goes, and the thing about this movie is, I think that's about enough. Okay, so you got Sari and Henry trying to find Dee Dee, and then you got Sid and Eddie and David. They're trying to find the drugs. I think that's more than enough. But the thing about this movie is, it's entertaining enough, even though like poor Elizabeth Banks, she had to make a movie that was entertaining to an audience and had to tell a story. I mean, it's like she has it so bad, but for what it is, the movie for the most part, it is fun, it is entertaining. Is it the best killer bear movie that we've ever seen? Honestly, no. This movie does have some flaws with it. The CGI effects at times is really, not the best. There is one scene in the kind of like at the park rangers office, I guess you could say. Yeah, I guess you say that, the park ranger's office, where these guys, they're trying to ward off the bear, and at one point, um, Liz, Margo Martindale's character, shoots this guy in the head, and it's the most unconvincing headshot you've ever seen in a movie. The CGI is like really bad. It definitely doesn't help watching it in 4K. But this movie does have some really, really good scenes, and honestly, Elizabeth Banks, when she puts her mind to it, she can actually really direct some really good, intense, frightening scenes. There is a scene where, Liz and Peter are going with Sari. They're trying to find the kids. And this is, a well-known scene. It's in the trailer and everything. They're in the forest. They see, that's the little boy Henry up in one tree, and the bear starts to attack them. And Peter, he gets, cocaine on him and everything. And he goes, like Henry's up one tree, he goes up the other tree. And then, just when you think that the bear is about to get Henry, Peter is like, doing this, and the bear, he's like, all that, and the bear senses the cocaine in it, so he jumps off the tree, goes up and gets Peter. And like I say, if it wasn't for the CGI, it's like, oh my god. But even still, aside from that, it's like some of the scenes are masterfully directed. And like, is it Elizabeth Banks can actually direct some really good, intense scenes. And the scene where the paramedics come, and they find Liz, and she's been attacked by the bear, and they're trying to get her in the ambulance. The scene where I mean, my God, that is an amazing scene. It is really well done, and some of the humor, it's like in some instances the jokes land, some of them they don't. The kids, honestly, the two kids are really fun to watch, and some of the banter back and forth is pretty good. Like some of the banter between David and Eddie, even though they're not particularly, they're not the best characters in the world. They're drug dealers, but still, they do have a likable chemistry to them, as do the two kids, Dee Dee and Henry. Um, Keri Russell, I think, she doesn't really. I would have to say probably Keri Russell probably doesn't have the most rewarding character in the movie, even though she is the main character. But it kind of seems like the other characters in the movie would have a lot more. They have a lot more stuff to work with. They got a lot more to chew on than what she's got. Um, but yeah, and then I think I've said enough. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm sorry. I know I'm kind of all over the place with this, but I think to keep talking about, I'm going to wind up giving away too much, and I don't really want to do that. But it's just kind of a race against time. How is all this going to pan out? Are they going to find the drugs? What's going to happen with the drug dealers? Are they going to find is Sari going to find her daughter Dee Dee and everything else? So it's all about that. But overall, yeah, I enjoyed this movie. Like I said, it's got a little bit of woke stuff to it. There's some female characters that kind of get away with some stuff that they really shouldn't be getting away with, but it's not as bad. I mean, I would not be probably the least bit surprised that if it turned out that Elizabeth Banks, when she went into her first meeting about directing this movie, she might have went in there as like, oh, I'm going to change it so there's no female victims, and it's going to be super feminist and all this other kind of stuff. And they might have they might have had to rein her in. They probably might have been like, you directed Charlie's Angels, okay, and that movie was a massive flop. Everybody hated it. You tried to blame men, you tried to blame everybody, and everybody turned around and, that blew up in your face. So just make the damn movie. So I don't know. I don't know how things went. But overall, like I said, I would say just avoid interviews with her, avoid commentary, things like that. Just avoid stuff where she's talking about, and just kind of take the movie for what it is. It's not that bad. Like I said, though, is it the best Killer Bear movie? No, there have definitely been a lot better ones. Grizzly immediately comes to mind with Christopher George, Andrew Prine. That's a really good movie. Even Day of the Animals, it's like, even though it's over the top, I mean, the scene where Leslie Nielsen thinks he's, like a big caveman or whatever, he pulls off his shirt and decides he's going to go toe to toe with the bear and all that stuff. Like, that was, pretty fun too. But, overall, like I said, this movie, it is entertaining for the most part, and I would say the worst thing about it is just some of the CGI is pretty bad. You think, for a big budget movie like this, you really think that they could, do better, but um, still, it's a really good movie, and it does have, there are some scenes that do have an impact. They do pack a punch, and yeah, some of the characters are fun and likable and stuff. Some of them are not so much, but anyway, yeah, I actually enjoy it. So, give it a chance. So, that's it. So, if anybody took the time to watch this, I thank you for doing it. I appreciate you for doing it. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, could you please leave it a like? And if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to the BodyBags channel. We have a different reviewer, one for every day of the week. I am the Saturday reviewer. And man, I'm just having a blast doing this, and I love working with these guys. So that's it. Take care. Have a good night, and I'll see you all later.